Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Geek podcast, where we celebrate geek, nerd, and pop culture. Each week, we deliver the best analysis for fans, by fans, on anything related to movies, TV, video games, comics, anime, and manga. We talk geek. And now, here's the Get Geek podcast.
Welcome to the Get Geek podcast. This is Gabe, aka Wolfie, aka the Jets Suck. I am joined by.
Wow, I had to get that in
I'm joined by
Jesus
Walt
Christ.
and Jose. We're coming in hot today. A little bit of a pre-recording, a little pre-recording battle. Someone decided to wake up a little hot, but not enough coffee to come at me.
Chose violence.
Yeah,
I know.
Chose violence against the wrong dude, man.
Chose NFL violence. NFL team violence. I'm Jose, by the way. What's up, y'all?
Yeah, Jose and Walt. Sorry.
We're here too. Wolfie's gonna kill us for those comments.
Wolfie,
no,
that's
literally
told me to throw coffee in my eyes.
Yeah,
you said you were tired, and I think the
literally
easiest way to
told
wake
me to
you
throw
up,
coffee in my eyes, dude.
Yeah. Think about
That's
it.
horrible.
Sprinkling a little bit of coffee in those bloodshot eyes. It's kind of like crack or cocaine or something. I guarantee you it's gonna wake you up.
That's his special remedy for Jets fans to wake up in the morning.
Anyway, I got you, man. Maybe Zach Wilson can get a little coffee in his eyes too.
It'll help him when he's running.
Oh God,
it's been a while. Hopefully, we got like an awesome show for you guys. Do a little bit of a round table talk with the boys over here. But before we get into that, as always, please like, rate, share, and subscribe. Show us a little bit of love, and we'll show you a whole lot back. Anyway, guys. So
making a heart symbol with
what
my
is
hands.
what has been up? What have y'all been up to?
What have I been doing lately? I have not been gaming very much, but I've been watching some of the cool Disney Plus shows and catching up on some manga and some anime.
Okay.
Recently, a little bit of manga. I read some
that reminds
Junji
me.
I finished Remina, which was one that I had bought a while ago, and I had been wanting to finish. And I want to start Berserk, but I don't want to do what I normally do and like backlog all this stuff that I purchased prior and wanted to read or watch prior. So I finished that, and I'm going to get to Berserk next. Like I don't know, just consuming, man. I mean, I figure we'll talk about some of the bigger shows,
yeah, man,
later on. But yeah, like just trying to keep up these days.
Walt,
Just tired, man. You know, you guys know my deal, so I won't get into it and stuff. But just every once in a while, just trying to catch up with a show and stuff.
Well, you've been doing a little bit of gaming, right? A little bit of live stream gaming
for frame rate
recently, right? For frame rate TV.
That's the bare minimum. I don't know if we're gonna. Yeah, AJ really has been pulling weight on that one, so
well, that's cool.
You tried Modern Warfare though, right? The new one.
I did.
Yeah, see, it's trying to wake you up right now.
Wow,
your whole house is trying to wake you up. Like, wake up, dude! You even yawned on the podcast, so it's like, nah.
You got your own personal assistant over there, Mr. Melgar.
Okay, so I've been curious. I asked this of every Call of Duty recently because I bought Vanguard like to give Call of Duty the chance for the first time in like 10 years, and it's terrible, and I never beat it. How's the new one so far? Because I've heard a lot of great things. And it genuinely for the first time from COD fans in a while, because COD fans, even like the ones that I know, are getting sick and tired of like the same game kind of being reskinned and like put in a new era every year. What do you think of this one?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean it's a bit different, but it's also Modern Warfare 2, which to be honest, I wanted to kind of get into anyway, because I don't necessarily remember. I guess I remember some of the maps, but it definitely feels different than what I remember Modern Warfare 2 being. But I guess that amount of time removed from it kind of does justify, giving us an update, But I gotta say that, to your point, to you, giving Call of Duty a chance, in you said over a decade or
It's
like
been a
10 years or
while.
whatever.
The last time I messed with Call of Duty hardcore
Vanguard was
like,
definitely not the best choice
no, I know,
for
I
you to
know.
give it a chance. There's been plenty of Call of Duties that have been really, really great. I think that the issue over the last few years has been ever since like their transition into the battle royale stuff, and the hyper
Mhm.
focus on battle royale has taken away from like the regular, team based multiplayer stuff.
Well, they're also
Um,
messing with that as well, right? Because they have all out
they are.
warfare now, which is kind of like Battlefields, get like
Yeah, I mean,
multiplayer
I guess
modes,
they're
right?
trying to like find their balance and stuff.
Mhm.
But there's definitely been plenty of like, I mean, Black Ops 2, and there's been plenty of like great Call of Duty games over the years. But um, definitely a smart decision to go back to Modern Warfare 2. I think
No,
the mechanics do play pretty much like any of the other Call of Duties. The difference really lies in how the kill streaks work, how the weapons are
like balancing and all
upgradable
that.
and
Yeah.
and balanced and stuff, and the maps, right? Like if you take one Call of Duty and put all the best maps from every single Call of Duty, that would just be the greatest Call of Duty ever,
Mhm.
right? Because it's all really based on the map. Same thing with Halo. Halo is judged mainly on the enjoyment of the maps and the balancing of the maps and the weapons. So
Mhm.
you take some of the weapon balancing and put it in Halo 2 maps, and maybe Halo 2 isn't as great. Like the weapon balancing of Halo 5 and put it on Halo 2 maps, put it on Lockout.
Oh yeah,
Lockout's probably one of the greatest maps in any shooter ever. But if it's got like terrible weapons and balancing, then that map sucks.
that would break a lot of games for sure, though. Like the balancing between the
Yeah.
maps and the weapons is really important. I mean, it's not that. I mean, me personally, I haven't really been in love with Call of Duty for a while, but like I feel like even mega fans, the last couple of entries have not been like you said, Black Ops stuff like that is always pretty well received. But like a friend of mine recently was just like, I'm done playing Call of Duty because I showed him a
Yeah, yeah,
video
so
of
was
Call of
I.
Duty from '99, the original Call of Duty, and he was basically like, "What the f is this? This is the same exact game with updated graphics." And I was like,
Well,
"Yeah, not exactly, but
I
sort
got to
of."
push back. I got to push back a little bit on that.
Yeah.
And so just to clarify, I
Mhm.
think we're getting mistaken here. Modern Warfare Double Hockey Sticks is not a reboot or a remake of Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah, yeah.
This
It's
is
the
it's
sequel
a
to the new
it's a
one, right?
brand new game to the Call of Duty Modern Warfare. So they're two very different games.
Yeah, it
Um,
just keeps a lot of characters and things
yeah,
like that,
and
right? From
you wish that they had changed the name somewhat, because a lot of people confuse the two games together and stuff.
Mhm.
There is differences that I notice, and I've only played the campaign to begin with.
Mhm. Mhm.
um Call of Duty is known as a very frenetic shooter, right? It's basically a twitch shooter. You're running around, you're shooting twitch to twitch, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
The campaign especially, it feels different. And the reason I say that is because it is a lot slower than normal Call of Duty games. And
It
I
is. I
think
was
that's
gonna
what I was
say
trying
that.
to get
Yeah.
at. Sorry to
yeah,
cut you off,
it's
but like that's what I've heard from fans, other
yeah,
fans of the
and
game.
it feels more like um a Ghost Recon type of game, those type of games where strategy is really paramount, instead of you just running around and shooting people,
Or,
and finishing missions that way.
or like
There is
standing
some
behind the same wall, killing three people, moving to another wall, killing the three people that spawn, moving to the next
exactly.
wall. Yeah, yeah.
There is a small level of strategy, which I know has kind of gotten the fans of the original Call of Duties kind of up in arms, because they're like, this is not my Call of Duty. you know there has been a
Hmm.
little bit of backlash regarding that.
Really? Huh.
Yeah.
I,
So
I
Does
I
does
like
the
the speed of the game. I was
multiplayer?
actually gonna.
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, Wolfie.
Oh, sorry. No, I was just gonna comment that I actually like the speed of the game.
so do I.
Just yeah, because that's what made it feel like I thought it was like a remake or reboot and stuff. Obviously, I've also not really been super into gaming. They did a great job with the marketing, making me feel like it was a reboot, because I only bought it because like, all right, well, finally, I'm gonna play like a Call of Duty that I remember being good. you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then playing it at the speed that it plays, I was like, oh well, yeah, this kind of feels like the older Call of Duty. It's slower, you know, it's not as fast, and you know, I kind of enjoy it, even though nothing else felt familiar aside from that. So yeah, yeah, I like, and the multiplayer is also, I think it's really good. The when the match ends, and like when the match ends, the next room starts, like it feels like it starts within 30 seconds. Next match,
Okay.
you know,
Oh,
like
really?
next playlist, next whatever, like the
Fast
playlist
loading
of, like,
screens are awesome. Yeah.
changes really really fast.
Okay.
um you know, it doesn't
What's the
have to like.
level?
Hmm?
I'm sorry. What's the level of expertise do you see on the? Because I haven't tried multiplayer yet. You know, I've been wanting to.
I
I haven't had the
It's
chance.
pretty balanced, I find, like, because I don't think that I'm that great at all at
Mm-hmm.
shooting games anymore.
Yeah. Same.
I don't know, I do feel like I'm like in the echelon of, like, you know, older guys that just jump in and, like, I'm happy to get just one kill.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
But
Same.
Yep.
the you know, obviously, like in the beginning, I was definitely like getting killed a lot. Just didn't have, you know, I don't know where to go. I don't know how the kill streaks work. I don't know, like, I don't have, like, you know, like anything. Like, you come back to jiu-jitsu after a while, that first couple of days, first couple of weeks, it's gonna be tough. You know, like things just, it takes some time to recall. But once, you know, I
I
got
know
like my
that.
mechanics recalling and stuff, it's not like, I think that it's a really really well balanced. I don't see anybody, like, there's nobody so far that's just like no scoping everyone. I don't see anybody doing like any kind of crazy, you know, combative tactics. So I feel like it's pretty well balanced.
Do you
You
think
know,
that
it's
like it
I've
has to do with some of the changes in the gameplay speed and things like that? Like maybe might have balanced it among other things.
maybe, I mean, if you
Was it like
think
more
about it,
weapon type
if the
balance?
movement is slower,
Yeah.
then that is prime for, you know, for camping snipers. And I haven't encountered
Mm.
a lot of that. Like, it just, everyone wants to run and go. Also, the maps I think are really really good. There are there's definitely places to where I found people kind of like trying to camp and snipe, but then there's so much coverage that it's relatively easy to move around the map without exposing yourself too much.
Okay, that was a weakness of
um
Battlefield. They had wide open maps. They're actually changing the
uh,
maps now and adding cover to them because they were so bad. So that's a
yeah, so
good
I
thing
think
to
like
hear.
there's this one that like, I guess it's like on the border, like the highway border. Think of like the border entry to Mexico.
Okay.
um
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. I
and
can picture that.
it's just like got like a bunch of like completely destroyed vehicles jammed up, like traffic jam, and so it's just the entire
Nice.
highway.
That sounds like a fun
And
map.
so it reminds me of
I know what
this
that
movie.
reminds me
Did you
of.
guys see this movie,
Reminds me of another game.
man,
But go ahead.
with Benicio del Toro?
Sicario.
Was that
Yeah,
Heat?
Sicario.
Or no? No, that's
Sicario is
not.
Sicario,
an awesome
Sicario.
movie, by
Yeah,
the way.
yeah,
So
yeah.
do you remember like that scene, like in the highway, where they're like going through like
Yeah,
all the
yeah,
cars
yeah.
and
At the
stuff?
very, that's like her. I forget what her the actress's name. That was like her initiation into the whole thing, right?
Emily
Where
Blunt.
yeah, where
Mm.
they're like at the border and they're following these three guys in the car. Is that what you're
Yes,
talking
yes,
about?
yes. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the map looks
That
just
is an
like that
awesome
in the
scene, by the
traffic
way.
jam, and you're just like going through, like hiding behind cars, hiding, like trying to shoot through the windows and stuff, all the way down the highway, and it's just like cars littered everywhere. There's no open space. That map to me so far is like one of my favorite maps, because I have so many different ways. It's like a maze for me to get through, and there's plenty of times where I get like surprised with somebody hiding like behind the car, but also plenty of times for me to kind of like, you know, move tactically through that map. So
It's funny
um,
because one of
having a
my
lot of fun with it.
favorite maps in a shooting game, it goes back to Rainbow Six Las Vegas, and it's a scene again that kind of mimics a great scene in a movie, which is Heat, right? And there's that
Yeah,
point where you're outside in Vegas, and there's like this huge shootout in the middle of the street,
Oh,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. I remember that.
uh, those are you know, so the fact that you're saying that there's a map in Call of Duty that's similar to the one in Sicario, that I have to definitely try out, because
yeah, it's so
that
good.
sounds fun and awesome.
It's really good.
Reminds me of a Gears of War map. Do you remember? There's that. There was
Yeah,
one of the most
it does actually kind of.
popular maps, Gridlock, where you run down the street. There's some busted up
Yeah,
cars, and then you run up into the little enclave and get the sniper rifle. You run the
I
other way,
remember
you get the
Gridlock
rocket.
actually.
That was
Damn,
one of my favorite
Gears of
maps.
War was great. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I got the best kill I ever got, probably in Gears of War, because if you remember that map, sorry for the aside, but this was the coolest thing I've ever
No,
done.
it's all good. Yeah.
If you remember that map, what was it? You had the area to the side of where you ran up the stairs to get the sniper rifle, and there were some columns, and there was like a lake or water on the other side of there, right? You could run behind the columns.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was where, if you remember the other side of the map, where you grab the rocket launcher, on both sides you had that area that was elevated where you could like lean over the railing and shoot at people. Like there was on both sides, they had that. I hit somebody with a rocket from that railing on the other side of the map, running in between the columns to get to those stairs where the sniper rifle was. Like it was awesome because you saw him run behind a column, and I timed it so that the shot hit him as he ran between columns. That must have been the most mad like dude probably ever. There was a broken controller there, I would imagine, because that rocket came out of nowhere. But anyways,
man,
I wish I
only
could have
if like
recorded
Twitch
that.
was around during that time.
Yeah, I wish I could have gotten a clip 100% of that, because that would be like one of my greatest clips ever. So Call of Duty sounds like it's more interesting than it has been.
I mean, look, like I was kind of addicted like already. You know, I'm not like I've I also got Vanguard, played it for a little bit. I got Warzone or whatever the last Call of Duty before that was. Played it, but it was kind of like begrudgingly playing it, just kind of like get my fix in.
Well, that was
But here I am, like I'm like, like, hey, do I got 5 minutes? Do I got time for like one match before we record? I was like, hey, let me know when you guys are ready. I'm jumping in the room. It really is like so far every single one of the maps and all the game modes that I played are really fun. Like there's this new game mode called Hostage, where you have to like each team takes sides, either rescuing a hostage or defending your hostages, and you have to go grab the hostage and bring it back to an extraction point, and then you score and win the game.
sounds like a Rainbow Six.
That one,
type game.
yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like very, very unrealistic. That's for sure. Because like you're running around with a hostage, and they can just shoot you. You can shoot somebody that's holding a hostage. You'll never kill the hostage, so you literally like point blank blast them with a shotgun. Hostage is perfectly fine.
Or they're like kind of like a flag, basically, or like how does it work?
Basically, you know what? Now that I realize that's what this is. This is capture the flag. Oh my god!
Just with a walking flag.
This is capture the flag. With instead of a flag, it's a person. Oh my god! Why didn't I realize this?
So what do you like run over? You can grab them from the other team, I guess.
You gotta like Navy SEAL pick them up. So like you gotta pick them up with one shoulder while you have like your gun in the other one and running and stuff.
Oh my gosh! It's literally capture
and the camera
yeah.
and the camera rotates at a 45-degree angle because that's how you would be if you have like a body on your shoulder. So you're seeing everything at a 45-degree angle as you're running with the hostage over the shoulder.
I'm assuming you run
it's
slower,
freaking
too.
it's capture the flag. I feel really dumb right now.
That still sounds pretty fun though. Like
it's cool because it could have easily been capture the flag. Now I would find it kind of dumb to play capture the flag in a shooting game.
Yeah, I mean,
but if you think about it, right? Like Halo, every single game type, it's whatever. But yeah, go get this flag. We're in this like intergalactic war, playing.
Just get a flag, right?
Kind of funny.
That's like a holdover. I feel like from Unreal Tournament or something like that, right? Because that was one of the big first multiplayer games. And all these capture the flag modes
Unreal,
and things like
Unreal,
that.
And Quake.
Yeah. All right. So Modern Warfare 2 is something that I'm gonna have to purchase. Then I've been like on the fence about it. I'm like,
yeah, you should.
Nah, dude, it's good. It really is. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. So
it's just that Halo and Vanguard and Battlefield 2042 gave me PTSD for the big shooters recently. So it's like, okay, do I even want to play shooters anymore after like the horror that was 2021 when they were all just so bad? But
yeah, I mean that's I mean, they're doing the smart thing is like, all right, well, everything doesn't work. Let's just go back to something that everybody loves.
Yeah,
Modern Warfare 2. So
they're
not even gonna change the name.
That's
They're
exactly what
like,
they're
well,
trying to do.
there's just Modern Warfare 2 22. They're probably gonna do it like seasons, right? Like, Madden, really Modern Warfare 2 2023.
2023.
Oh,
Just be
gosh.
Call of Duty, like whatever,
Yeah, just
2K23,
leave it. That's it.
2K24. Like we don't need all
Exactly.
the extra names.
I'd say they should do. They should just do like Modern Warfare MW and then the year. Modern
Yeah.
Warfare 23. Yeah.
MW23, like,
Yeah.
and then they could really make it exactly like an EA game and just update the roster and do whatever, like in the off season, and still charge people $60 for it and $100+
I feel like they would become lazy. Similar to the way Madden is. I feel they become lazy if they went that route.
Oh, they would definitely. I mean, effectively, it's not a whole lot different though. If you think about it,
yeah, they do
that's
it
true.
every. They're actually doing it in a backwards way if you think about it. If they're coming out with a completely different game every single year, then it's a hit or miss whether they like design the right maps, have like good mechanics. People are just like, I don't want to play this. I want to play Modern Warfare mechanics. I'm like, all right, well, let's give it to you then.
I mean, it's the only difference would be, right, like games like Madden and NBA 2K don't really have competition. Call of Duty does have some competition. It has Halo.
That's true too.
It has Battlefield to some extent. So it does have to do
and
something.
not just Battlefield, but other shooters in general.
Right.
But yeah, that's true. Like ever since EA sports games became super, super lazy when they got the exclusive rights basically to everything, and then 2K just like went the way of the quail, the way of the dodo. That's the same.
The dodo.
There's still quails around.
The dodo is extinct.
The way of the dodo. The way of the dodo.
Just say the way of the dinosaur. Why
dinosaurs.
Pretty clever.
You know what I'm saying?
He doesn't want to be.
I don't know, but it is the way of the dodo. That's the reason we say the way of the dodo, because it makes people think about what the hell's a dodo.
Dinosaur, not the way of the dodo.
I've heard gone the way of the dodo.
I'm remembering that.
You and I are in different circles, then, man.
I remember the Looney Tunes cartoon with the dodo from way back in the day, man. Dodio. The dodo Looney Tunes cartoon that probably nobody that's listening to this remembers.
Speaking about that, I can't wait to see what 2K does with their NFL game. It's supposed to be coming out.
They're coming out with a non-licensed NFL football game or something like that. Yeah. Probably 23, I would imagine.
But doesn't EA's license end soon?
No, they renewed it.
They renewed it.
They renewed it for like another few years, license, I think.
Right?
They lost FIFA.
Yeah,
they lost FIFA, but I think they kept football. Which,
oh God, that's such a bad idea. I'm surprised. I'm really surprised that they have. Has there been like a like monopoly suit against them over this at all?
No, I don't.
Because
this
this really is like this
so.
Completely kills competition.
I think the argument would be like, you could still make a football game, you just can't make an NFL football game, and like tough, like that's a legal agreement, right? Yeah, I mean everybody buys freaking Madden. That's the problem.
They tried, right? Every year. They did do when they first had the exclusivity. Like 2K did come out with football games, and just nobody bought, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, the 2K game came out, was amazing, as we all know. The 2K,
of course,
2K5, right? I think, right? Was amazing, but nobody bought it. Even though it was like what, $20, $30. Remember that 2K was using that strategy to try to undercut Madden, and everybody was like, no, we'll still buy Madden. Yeah. Even though this game is a million times better. In its first year, it's way better than anything that Madden has put up, probably ever.
You know what it is? Nobody wants to create an entire roster of players. It's not like the wrestling games where you can easily like download, create a wrestler, and
you put your 20 favorite wrestlers in, not 300 NFL players.
Exactly. And not only that, then you got to worry about ratings and all this other stuff, and nobody wants to go through that. So
I really wish I understood how it worked when you have games like NFL Pro Era coming out. Is it console exclusivity? Like, how the heck does this deal work if you really think about it, right?
Well,
you have a licensed game right there.
Yeah, but I think it's a different type of game. You know what I'm saying?
It's a VR game, maybe.
Yeah, it's not a straight simulation like Madden would be.
Yeah.
So maybe.
And isn't the other one being made by NFL?
Huh?
It was.
Isn't that VR one being made by NFL?
It was made by a company that, right, Walter, that develops simulation
for the
stuff for
NFL.
players.
Like, it's not a licensing thing. This is like in partnership. It's like part of
Kind
NFL's
of, yeah. Actually,
thing, I think. Yeah.
that might make sense because the NFL could be like, yeah, this is a separate partnership we have, and
It's not even a
we're gonna
partnership.
use
This is our
this
game. You can't tell us that we
to-
can't make our own game.
And it doesn't really compete with Madden in a sense, right?
I wish I understood
Because-
why they can't come up
yeah.
with a dang NFL 2K game that's licensed. Man, it's so annoying.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It's and plus like
you
with
guys
the
wanna move
updated
on to, like-
consoles, right? It would be so good. Yeah,
Yeah.
What's up, Wolfie? Go ahead.
You guys want to move on to like any kind of like film or TV? I mean, we were all like talking about like Black Adam. I don't think we were talking on Black Adam, via mic, but
Yeah, we had some
film,
words about it.
TV. I mean, I know that we like had like our own like opinions about Black Adam and stuff. I don't
But that
remember
movie's
exactly. what they
lazy.
were.
I'm ready to talk about it. But
Oh.
first, y'all start because I'm gonna get a little bit more caffeine. Okay, give me 15, 20 seconds. Y'all give your opinions, and I kind of know what they are, so I'll come back in and just.
Well, yeah. I mean, we kind of
Yeah.
We kind of already went through this on the chat,
Yeah.
so
That's exactly why I'm going to take this opportunity to get a little coffee and get myself armed to have this conversation because I'm probably the only one
But-
that actually kind of liked it. I'll be right back. I promise you. I'm ready.
I mean, we were both disappointed. Obviously is kind of
Oh,
what the
absolutely.
main thing, right? Like, we're both disappointed.
yeah.
And I think the sentiment was, while we were going through our opinions over chat, that we were just disliking it more and more. Which,
Yeah, I think
don't
it's one of these.
I don't understand how like Jose can like it more
Well,
and more as we discussed everything.
We can crush him when he gets back from coffee. And
All right, what's the game
it's a
plan?
good-
What's up? What's
it's
up?
a good thing that he's getting that coffee because he's gonna need it to throw it in his eyes, right?
I heard something about throwing
Black
coffee
Adam
in
was
my eyes.
terrible. It was
Black
a
Adam.
terrible film.
Black Adam is one of those films that you go into it, you watch it, you feel a sense of disappointment, and then as you're driving
Immediately.
home, so I went to go see it on Long Island, right?
Mhm.
So Long Island is at least a good 45 minutes before I get back home, right? And I found myself, as I was talking to the kids, as I was talking to my wife about the film, right? I find myself getting angry and angry at the film. You know what I'm saying? And there's a very few films that do that for me.
Okay.
And I you know what it is? I think part of it is the hype surrounding this film, the fact that The Rock has been pushing for this for like the last 10 years, the
15.
fact that or 15, whatever it is, whatever ridiculous thing it is, the fact that he's actually involved in the film, and I'm like, how in the world would he allow himself to do another Scorpion King?
Okay.
That,
why?
I think that's kind of the feeling that I had. It's just like, you walk out of there thinking, okay, The Rock's promoting this. The Rock is really excited about this. It has to be good, right? Because usually when The Rock does something, especially lately, it's pretty good. And then you walk out of there and like,
I want to push
this
back.
is what
just
he
a
was
little bit.
excited about that?
Can I say
Yeah.
one quick thing before you go, Wolfie?
Yeah,
Because my point is going to be like The Rock is not really known for cerebral movies or like excellent film. He's going for good action movies where he's a little funny and a little charismatic.
Right. And that's what this movie is supposed to be.
Yeah,
But that doesn't work with the character, right? Like Black Adam's not a funny, charismatic character. I mean, Wolfie, go ahead and say what you got to say, and then we'll maybe address.
I would push back on both of that. You know what I
Okay.
mean? I think that because my issue is that like, I think, he pushed for Black Adam because he saw the vision of himself as Black Adam, and if you really think about it, when we all saw the artwork, it was like, well, like who else could have been Black Adam, really, if you think about it, But the issue that I have is that I actually don't think that The Rock was bad as Black Adam. I just think everything else in the film was bad. I definitely think that The Rock could have done better, but I still put that on the director's hands more
I can agree.
than
the
the acting.
script
You know what I
was
mean?
really bad.
Yeah, the script was terrible. So I think the
Didn't take
script
him
was
anywhere
terrible.
Interesting. Yeah.
These are my quick things, right? Just and then I'll open it up, right? My quick things are that the script was terrible, supporting cast, for the most part, I think were poorly chosen. And I never like to discredit actors ever, but I just don't think that like a lot of the supporting cast was were
They weren't
great for the
necessary.
role.
well cast.
And
They weren't
then that's the other thing.
necessary.
And
That's
part of
another
it,
thing.
and again, that comes to the screenplay, right? Because if you don't have those parts in the screenplay, then you don't have those actors or that supporting cast anyway. Um, and it's mainly that for me. And that's a really big piece, because it doesn't matter how much glitz and glamour you have on the screen. If the story sucks, the story sucks, no matter how great the people are. I think Pierce Brosnan was great
Phenomenal.
as Dr. Fate.
I
I
so
thought he
too.
was phenomenal. But
He
I
was
think that his
wasted, though.
story arc in the film was terrible. It was wasted. Definitely 100% wasted. It's like, why? Like, I would have, if I was the editor or the producer, I was like, no. We need to write him out. We're not going to do this to that character. It's too good. We need to use him somewhere else. But now you can't use him ever again.
Well, you can use the character of Dr. Fate, because Dr. Fate
but,
is a
Attached to the
legacy
helmet,
character, right?
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
right, exactly. But
not Pierce
I
Brosnan.
think
Pierce
no,
Brosnan was great.
that's true. But you know what? And again, here's another flaw of the film, right? You introduce all these characters. Did you even give a crap about any of them? Like you would tend to think that Dr. Fate, right, is such a huge character in DC, right? And the fact that he dies should be like this bellwether moment, right? When he died, I'm like, okay, who cares? I had no connection to any of the characters. Didn't care about Hawkman, didn't care about Dr. Fate, didn't care about Atom Crusher, didn't care about Cyclone. I didn't care about any of them. They all could have been murdered in the most horrible way in the movie, and it would have meant absolutely nothing. And going back to The Rock, I think what they were trying to do was they were trying to cast him as a fish out of water type of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I hate to say it, but I think Thor did it better.
The first Thor was better.
The first Thor did it better at that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There was no point where, and even the jokes that he was trying to say fell super flat. Like there was no, this was, and I put this in the chat and you guys were like, what the hell are you talking about? This was the worst Marvel movie out there, because it tried to attempt to do a Marvel movie type formula and failed miserably at it.
I still think that Eternals was worse. Here's my thing.
No.
Well, hold on one second. Just one second.
It's the point of they were trying to do a thing and they failed horribly.
That's a product of The Rock being the star of the movie, and I can address that a little bit more. But like, to your point, like you didn't care when Dr. Fate died. Did you care when Ajax died in Eternals? Salma Hayek's character. Did anybody really care when she died? No, like, when I say like these movies, like this being like that bad, there's a lot of Marvel movies that do a lot of the same crap.
Yeah, but I think
we hold them in slightly higher regard. I think.
Yeah, but I think what you're misrepresenting what I'm trying to say.
Just that one point. Just that one point. Like there's
I know that there's bad Marvel movies. Obviously, you know what I'm saying. Like Thor Ragnarok not Thor Ragnarok. Thor Love and Thunder is a perfect example. That movie sucked, right? Yeah. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that it's not, and I didn't mean it as in literal sense. It's the worst Marvel movie out there. It's figurative. It's like they're trying to do a thing and they absolutely sucked at doing it. Well, that was my point.
That again is a product of The Rock being in it, though, right? Because he wanted to to add a little slapstick to it, like a little family comedy type stuff. Even with the rated R stuff that he wanted to put in there, there's those jokes that he probably wanted to squeeze in. Also, the fish out of water stuff, like you talked about. What are you trying to say, Wolfie? Go ahead, man.
I don't know. I think so. The thing is, I still don't think that that's like a product of The Rock. I think that that's more of the whole post production thing, because because the joke is actually quite funny, to be honest with you. Is just if you put it in at the wrong time, like editing room stuff. If you put the joke in at the wrong time, if you put the wrong music, backdrop behind it, if you don't set it up properly with certain scenes before the joke, then you don't get the punchline, and that's the editor's job, because the actor, all they do is they, obviously they act out the scenes. They're at the direction of the director, obviously in the
Mm-hmm.
in the screenwriter's room and stuff. But everything is done disjointed, and it's the editor to put it's the editor's job to put the jokes together. You know, that's one of Taika Waititi's biggest strengths. He can put the jokes on there. You know, we did speak about like Love and Thunder, that he decided to just put everything in the film. But I think what worked with Ragnarok is that, like, you know,
I think a little restraint.
he sets up a lot of
Mm-hmm.
these jokes
Mm-hmm.
by setting it up with the scenes before that, and that all happens in the editing room. And I think that that's, like, again, like, it was just, I just think it was a very poor production. You know, for example, if I'm the editor of this film, they could have they've could have filmed everything that they did in this film. However, when it comes to editing the film, when I put it all together, I don't need to show Hawkman talking to you know,
It's Adam Smasher
DC.
or Dr. Fate.
No, to oh my god, what's her name?
Cyclone.
No, Amanda Wheeler.
Yeah,
oh
yeah.
God.
Viola Davis's character? Or wait, what are we talking
Yeah,
about?
isn't
Yeah.
Isn't
Okay.
that her name? Yeah,
Yeah,
Amanda
yeah.
Wheeler. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
I'm sorry, I was trying to say DC's Nick Fury. I don't. They could have skipped that whole thing, right? The entire recruitment and talking about like who they are and these little mini scenes and stuff like that, and they could have just had them show up, and it would have played so much better with them just showing up to fight Black Adam, and we find out afterwards who they are. Our first experience should be like what they can do and how cool they look on screen, not their backstory, not Hawkman being, you know, this Captain America type of character that is also in cahoots with this
Tony
very
Stark.
evil, much more evil version of I think he's less Tony Stark and more he's
I
he's
think
Tony
he's a
Stark only in
gadget
the sense
guy,
that he's
though,
got the
right?
money. Yeah, but like
Yeah.
morals
But
wise,
it's Amanda Waller, by the way. Brain fart on
Yeah.
all of our parts. But yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead. The suit
Waller,
was-
not Wheeler, Waller.
His suit was very Iron Man-ish though.
Yeah.
Which is not
Sure,
a
but
thing.
I'm talking about
that
as
Hawkman does, right?
for me, it's
Yeah.
a moral thing as a character. Who are you as a character? Forget about the uniform and the suit. That's what I care most about as far as like who you are. And I feel like he was, you know, trying to be too goody two shoes, too much like Captain America to me. You know,
It was a similar conflict to BVS if you think about it too. It's like here we go again with another like
yeah,
team
but
of
we didn't need another
superheroes
BBS.
believing that this anti-hero whoever is the bad guy. And when like you think about in the Justice League and Batman vs Superman and all the other movies, how many people did they end up killing by accident?
Actually,
As a
yeah.
result of
Why
their
don't we
actions?
pivot to that?
Justice Society didn't care about that. Okay, I'll give you that.
Why don't we pivot to
anti-villain
that?
thing?
Because that's another big gripe that we had.
Mm-hmm.
Is that they borrowed so much from other films, whether intentional or not intentional. We didn't need another BVS. We didn't need. Yeah, what's up?
Can I say one thing? I mean, I was thinking about this before when you were all talking too. Like, it's kind of a product of James Gunn's success as well, if you think about it, right? Because this movie very much had similar storyline and attempts at humor and attempts at being dark as like the Suicide Squad, right? Like the similar team dynamic, having people kind of thrown in there just to have like some more DC characters in there. In the Suicide Squad, it made more sense. Here, it was just like, let's just throw in these random characters and say that they're a part of the Justice Society so that Black Adam has some superheroes to call out by name and fight throughout the movie. Like, I mean, I get all of these points, but I was entertained. Regardless of how stupid some of it was, I thought the action scenes were really good. I thought the special effects were solid. There were moments where it was pretty cringy, but I thought that some of the fish out of water stuff was decent with The Rock. It is not as good as Thor. I'm never going to say it was as good as the first Thor movie. I still maintain that it's better than Captain America 2 or Iron Man 2, but I know that the critics disagree with me on that one.
That's crazy, by the way. That's insane.
I just thought the villain in that movie was so like even more terrible than whatever the villain's name was in this movie. I don't remember.
They literally dropped them in the last 20 minutes and were like, here's your big bad.
Yeah, but I mean, Wonder Woman did that, kind of. You know what I mean? Like,
but that's not that great either.
But Wonder Woman was a very good movie that just dropped the ball. I'm not saying this is a very good movie. That was never my point.
It
I think it's
boggles my mind that
maybe
you
a
think that
little
this
below
movie's better
average.
than Iron Man 2. I can't keep it inside myself. I cannot believe that you think that this movie is better than Iron Man 2.
But I mean, do
That
you
is
think that like
crazy to me.
Mickey Rourke's villain was like I think that was the worst villain I've ever seen in anything. That villain was so bad.
Mandarin,
man.
Iron Man 3.
Mandarin
And he
Iron
was
Man
not
3
that bad.
was bad
He
too,
had
but like
he had great motivation, and I thought he
you know,
looked
but you
cool.
know what Iron Man 3 was better to me? Like Iron Man 3 had a tried to bring the Tony Stark as like a broken alcoholic storyline a little more to the MCU. Yeah, that was in Iron Man 2 a little bit, but like
It was more in Iron Man 2 than Iron Man 3.
I don't know. Like it just that movie like always hit me the wrong way. I thought the fight scenes were terrible. I thought the him asking for the bird, where's my bird, or whatever the hell it was. The villain, like it didn't have any useful stakes to me, like in comparison to the other movies. That's my personal opinion. I don't know. I never liked that movie. I always like call it out as my least favorite MCU movie. Like I said, I didn't like the Eternals that much. Another thing, like, yeah, the characters were kind of misplaced in this story. It's unfortunate they killed off Dr. Fate, but I actually really liked the casting for Hawkman for Dr. Fate, even though he's probably not going to be around again. I thought Cyclone was kind of a stupid character and seemed like a CW like superhero. But Atom Smasher was not bad, even though like he was not really used very well in the movie either.
Absolutely nothing.
Right? Like he was a character that could be better in future iterations. Again, I'm not saying this was a good movie, but like I would give it like a 5.5 or a 6, not like a 3 or a 4, I guess, is what my point is. It's like not necessarily, you recommend it. You want to say to your friends, you got to watch this so that you watch a good superhero movie. It's kind of like required viewing now, I guess, because this is the launch of the DC EU under James Gunn. Other than that, it's not really something that I would recommend.
Oh, that's horrible if you put it that way.
I mean, it is. Yeah, this is Iron Man, right? Or the Hulk.
That's oh god,
horrible.
no way.
Gosh. That's what it is, though, right? I mean, effectively in this universe, that's what it is.
No,
yeah, I mean, Superman was in it. They brought Superman back. They
didn't like that scene.
Set that up. Yeah, I know that scene wasn't great.
Scene was really dumb.
It is cool to have Superman back, though. You know what I mean?
Yes, it is. But how do you mess up the return of Superman?
Yeah,
like literally everybody's been clamoring, and afterwards you watch that clip at the end, and it's like, I
just don't understand the need to like make this whole Amanda Waller thing happen.
Yes, since when is Superman Amanda's Pokemon that she could just call in on at any time? Like that.
There's no ambiguity. Oh
my god!
She said that like, don't make me send some people to you, and he's like, send them all. And she's like, all right, and then she sends Superman. There's no way that you can like dispute that she
literally had the Pokeball and she just went like this.
That's crazy to me.
You know what I'm saying?
That's insane to me.
What if they're trying to set up some Injustice storyline with all of this? Imagine they like led up to Injustice and like.
It's a bad start then.
That's
it's a bad start.
Yeah,
it really is.
I
we
mean,
didn't even get into the plot holes.
Here's what I'm gonna say.
Yeah,
here's what I'm gonna say.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna say that Black Adam still is redeemable because he's a character that could be brought into another movie or maybe another movie made with him by a director that actually knows what the hell they're doing. And a screen, you have, at least I will say this, right? You have Black Adam now in the DCU, right? It's not DCEU anymore. They officially pivoted to the DCU, right?
So MCU, DCU.
So you have the basis, and The Rock can be a very good Black Adam. He just, in his first movie, was not a very good Black Adam. Let's put it that way. Like again, they did not. It's not his fault. I'm saying this, and that's why I'm saying it's redeemable because it's not his fault. He is a victim of horrendous screenwriting. If you put him in the right film with the right screenwriters with the right story, then this thing works. But
I mean, Suicide Squad got redeemed.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if you put him in the right place under the right circumstances, he's gonna be really, really good. That's not the case with this movie.
Yeah, you're
Okay.
right.
It
I
really,
can
really
agree with
isn't.
you on that.
You
Yeah.
know.
The biggest thing for me was The Rock trying to lean into the hero stuff. It should have been true
He should have been
villain
straight up villain. Yeah,
true villain
exactly.
stuff. I mean, maybe because Black Adam in recent years has become a little more of an anti-hero, right? A little less of like a straight cackling villain, but they could have led up to like the anti-hero stuff, and that would have been more fun, right? If he was a straight
But this
villain,
is also,
and then maybe when you get to a big event movie, like he actually ends up helping
yeah, I mean,
heroes.
but this is also like DC's biggest flaw is that they're trying so hard to catch up to the MCU that they rush certain things. They
Mhm.
rush certain character developments and stuff. And they really shouldn't, because if they actually took a moment to like go at their own pace, run their own race as opposed to like fight MCU, they would actually not have to be competing directly with MCU. It'd be like, you guys are on your, phase 4 timeline, we're on phase 2. We don't have to catch up. And then when you're done with your phase 5 and everyone's burnt out from MCU, we're gonna be hitting our stride. That's really how DC should be doing this. If they had taken the time to focus this movie on just Black Adam as essentially, not a hero, not an anti-hero, not even a villain. We just don't know. He's his whole thing is like, I do what I want. And he just happens to kind of save the day at the end of the film, but not even in an anti-hero way. And we have Dr. Fate and
Accidentally.
Hawkman, and that's
Mhm.
it. Like, we don't have any of the other supporting characters and stuff like that. Then you could have set it up with, like, let's say the very final scene with Black Adam being there's a glimmer of hope that he can be somewhat of a hero. And then you have Superman come in at the post credit, and then you know that the next film will be still Superman versus bad guy Black Adam, and you can have the turn into an anti-hero. But now he's already he's not even an anti-hero. He destroyed the throne and is like, I'm a good guy now, and everything. So now it doesn't even make sense for him to go up against Superman.
They should have had what they should have done really is had one hero as the quote unquote villain of this film. Like, you know who I think would have been a good choice? Like a Martian Manhunter. Somebody like that who's like not like almost top tier, but not quite top tier, and very, very powerful. We know Martian Manhunter is a very, very powerful character. We know that he's become more involved in, I don't even know how you want to think about the canon, but like, they had the character in Justice League. They're trying to introduce it as a character a little bit more. If you have somebody like that kind of be the antagonist of this film rather than shoehorning a bunch of antagonists in, and then at the end, yeah, you have some sort of turn. Maybe you could still have Sabak or whatever the heck his name was somehow get released. Martian Manhunter and Black Adam have to fight this character in order to save the world, but mostly because Black Adam is trying to fulfill his own interests.
Yeah.
The reason why Martian Manhunter would work, though, and this is just off the top of my head, remember his weakness is fire. Sabak is a flaming demon. So, like, this could be a reason why Black Adam has to step in and why Martian Manhunter has to back off of, like, actually having to take him down. And you could substitute a lot of other heroes. That's just off the top of my head, like I said. But that would have made for a more focused film. And then you wouldn't have had to, like you said, Wolfie, necessarily commit to him being a hero or a villain. He's just out for his own interests. And then that plays out later on throughout the DCU. I don't know, like,
but again, say that's my biggest issue, that it just turns into BVS, which is what I hated. BVS was terrible in the sense that, like, we go into the film thinking that this is a Batman versus Superman film, and then it turns out to be a Justice League film, and with the big bad and forcing the rivals to team up. I wouldn't have wanted to see that. I would have rather had seen, Black Adam maybe have some sort of friction with some of the heroes, and then have his own fight with the big bad. There was absolutely no reason for him to have, like, go back into human form and be put in isolation just for literally moments later. I would say no more than 2 minutes. In 2 minutes, the story went from, like, he's in prison to now we need to break him out in 2 minutes.
Well, you wouldn't
If
have
they
to do
had
all
done
that.
it, they didn't have to do any of that. So then, like, if he just existed, then it could have been like, I'm gonna fight him my way, you're gonna fight him your way. We don't need a team up, okay? And Black Adam still does whatever he wants to do, and they just happen to sort of help each other without realizing it. I don't want to see the team up. You know,
So
because again, it calls back to BVS, and I thought that was a huge mistake to not let BVS be solely about Batman versus Superman.
so I want to.
Why didn't Waller just Pokemon Superman to fight Sabak? You know,
Yeah, especially since they have
Word,
the
actually,
demon
this is
detector.
that's
that's a he's a yeah.
that's the fault of that last clip, because literally you could have called the world's strongest man on a whim, right? And you do it to get Black Adam and kind of trying to keep him in line, but yet you're facing this world-ending threat, and you
Yeah.
let your B
Yeah.
team take care of it.
I mean, we're literally talking a demon from hell
yeah,
coming
exactly.
to the surface. That's an Avengers level threat. Okay, that's an
Absolutely.
Avengers level threat. You got to call in everyone.
That's a problem with all
Exactly.
superhero movies, though. I'm not excusing it here. It
No,
was
no,
it
no, I
was it
know.
was particularly egregious in this film. I'll agree with you, but that's always going to be a problem with superhero films.
Absolutely,
You know?
I agree with that. But
You know?
you literally have that last clip where
Yeah, that's why it's
Superman's
egregious.
on
I mean-
retainer for you. You
I mean,
know
all
what I'm
right, all
saying?
right. You know what?
Literally,
You know why it makes
so-
less sense. The reason it really does actually make less sense is because, like, instead of so you have two lifelines. Lifeline number one is Black Adam, who you just imprisoned in this cell that's 200 feet underwater, completely guarded, and he needs to be broken out without their consent and without their help. Which, by the way, if I'm not mistaken, is under Amanda Waller. Okay. Or your other lifeline is a quick, like, your Superman button,
maybe
how does that not
see? Okay, they
like,
could
it's
have fixed that.
unexplainable?
They could have fixed that a little bit though, because Sabak
By
was a
not imprisoning
magical
him?
being. If they had somehow introduced the idea that Superman is weak to magical beings, which they can't do in any way because they haven't had him in the DCU for long enough. He hasn't faced a magical being. That would, if they had that set up, then it would have made sense, because like, he can't really fight magical characters. He has that weakness, demonic characters and things like that. He has a weakness to them, but they didn't have that in the film. Here's what I want to, like, kind of ask you in terms of, like, if you take out all the superheroes. Here's the problem I have with that. And again, this does speak to the weakness of the film. I'm not saying it's a great film. Like I said, 5.5, 6 for me tops, based on pure entertainment value. If you take out all the superheroes, you have Terminator 2. That's the movie you have. Do you really want this, like, rip off of Terminator 2? Because that's even, like, if you look at it,
Better than
that's
the
what this
rip off
movie
of
was.
BVS and every other superhero film.
But what's
it ripped
better?
off so many other superheroes.
You rip off a
rip
90s
something
film?
good, then, right?
At least Terminator 2 is like 30 years removed.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So you would prefer that. That's all. That's actually all I really wanted to know, because, like, I mean,
actually, I didn't even realize that this was Terminator 2. This is the young kid teaching this.
Totally.
Oh God,
totally Terminator.
God,
2.
this is so unoriginal. This
Oh,
movie
my
is like
gosh.
easily you're only making the case that it's worse than I thought.
That's what I'm saying. The more we talk about this film, the worse it
Oh
gets.
my God, I just
You know what I'm
realized that
saying?
this is Terminator 2
Bro.
with God.
And you know, with the Superman problem, Titans has come back for, I think it's season 4 or whatever on HBO Max, and Superman's supposed to be in the in the show, right? Because Connor Kent is one of the main characters, and he wants to meet his fathers, so to speak, right? A TV show did Superman's missing appearance even better, because he shows up to Star Labs all excited about meeting Daddy and stuff like that, and the guy literally says, "Oh, I'm sorry, Superman can't be here because he's in another he's on his way to another universe to save a civilization from a star collapsing." You don't think you could have done that in Black Adam? You know what I'm saying?
They could have
Especially
done
if
it,
you're gonna
yeah.
bring Superman in later. I mean, these are the things that are maddening about this thing. You're literally saying, again, I go back to this, that Superman is on call for you, and you got a world level threat, and your choice is to release the guy that you just imprisoned because you thought he was too unstable to keep around. You know what I'm saying? It's just like
It's a lot of bad screenwriting. That's mainly what
you
it
know,
is. You know,
it
like
is. It is. It really
it's
is.
just a lot of bad screenwriting, and hopefully, everything starts with the script. So, hopefully, they can. Hopefully, James Gunn won't be making those bad decisions.
Do you think Shazam
I
should
just
have been in
hope.
this movie?
Shazam.
Yeah, I mean, or maybe he should have been
Shazam is.
introduced in the sequel or the Shazam
No,
sequel
no. See, here's the thing.
I
I
think
like the
Shazam
Superman
should have been
reveal.
the guy at the
at
end.
the end.
And
Yeah,
at the end, to be honest,
yeah,
that's more of a
Nah,
natural. That's more of a natural rivalry there.
it makes more
You know,
sense. Yeah,
it is, but I think that Black Adam should make his appearance in Shazam, but I don't think that, like, just because of the tone of the film, right? Like, the tone is there's this guy that keeps killing people. You know, Superman is the more obvious, I think, uh
kind of like the
opposite
enforcer.
of that.
All right.
Sort of
can I
like
just make
if
a? Mhm.
I was
Mhm.
gonna
No,
say,
keep going.
like, if you just cut off the entire scene, that first like minute and a half or whatever of Waller talking to Black Adam and saying you're on my radar, and you just have Soups come down and be like, okay, congratulations, you're now on my radar, okay, and just have
But
that face off, that would have been perfect because it
let
wouldn't have come with those connotations of like, oh, he's on someone's call.
but let me ask you this question, and I want you. It's interesting that you made Shazam because this is something that I've thought about a lot regarding that end scene, and so I haven't put this out yet, but I want to put it out to you guys now, right?
Mhm.
So the film takes great lengths to show that the wizard, right, made the wrong choice in giving Black Adam his powers, the
Yeah,
powers of Shazam, right?
yeah,
Wouldn't it make more sense for that and that end clip, that end credit scene is literally all about bringing Superman back into the fold,
yeah.
but it
Hmm.
didn't serve the story correctly, right?
Hmm.
My thing is, why wouldn't it be that the wizard is the one that calls Shazam to say, you know what? Because remember, Black Adam was in prison for all these years, right? So he wasn't a threat. He's not on the wizard's radar. He's now back,
Hmm.
a guy who literally, he said, wrong person to have all these powers. Wouldn't it be Shazam being called at the Beckham at the wizard and say, hey, dude, we've got a problem because there's a guy out there with your powers who really shouldn't have it. That serves the film way much better and makes much more sense than bringing in Superman at the behest of
Um.
Amanda Waller, in my
Uh.
opinion.
So the reason for me it's for tone is that I don't didn't like it in this film. I think that, like, Shazam, his like the tone of his character and his films and stuff like that, I don't think, obviously, it makes, for the story's sake, it's what would make more sense. But for the tone of this film, I don't think it would have been better. It would have been way better if just the wizard out of nowhere, like, let's say the Rock is there, Black Adam is there just chilling, and the wizard calls him to his lair and gives him a stark warning, like, you have resurfaced, but the world is not the way that it was
Yeah,
when you were here. You're
that's
gonna face
perfect.
your reckoning. And then he just gets transported back to Earth with this warning in his head, you know,
I think the way
and
you've
that
done
would have
it,
been perfect.
yeah, I agree with that. Maybe you
But
don't have to bring
Superman,
Shazam there.
Superman did have to get announced somehow.
But my thing is, now you've relegated Shazam to no status because Shazam's natural rivalry is with Black Adam. And if
Not necessarily.
you're circumventing that completely by saying, okay, we're going to skip Shazam altogether and we're going to have Superman be the guy that fights Black Adam, then what's the purpose of
Not
Shazam?
not necessarily. This is easy.
Shazam has always been the yin and the
Yeah.
yang to Black Adam, though.
This is easy, and actually, Jose, I think you'll probably like this, okay? Because what will happen is that you'll have Black Adam and Superman go up against each other. That's how we make the story of Superman being weak against magic canon, and Shazam comes in and saves the day by fighting Black Adam for Superman's sake.
That would be one way to kind of introduce that.
And it'll elevate Shazam's kind of stature, because he's now like, oh, I'm not just this like B hero. I came in, I did Soups a favor. You
Shazam
know,
has
I
to
got his
fight
back.
Black Adam at some point, though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
In
exactly.
his
he
films,
really does.
like in one of his films, maybe the third one. I don't know. And like you're gonna have to reconcile those two tones, no matter what. Like, I mean,
Is
I
it
Right,
guess
but
I'm
I just think
glad
that,
if you think.
that's
I will say I'm glad that they didn't make. I really kind of was hoping that Black Adam would be rated R when they said like, oh, there were some scenes that were rated R that they removed. But when
15.
you
They took
think
out
about
15
reconciling
scenes,
that tone,
14 or 15 scenes. Yeah.
yeah, when you think about reconciling that tone, then it makes logical sense why you can't have Black Adam be rated R, and then you have this goofy
Mm,
Shazam PG-13 movie. It gets harder to bring them together. I
nah,
mean, like you kind of said.
I don't. Yeah,
They have
I
to do it at
disagree
some
only
point.
because
Yeah, they do.
I
Yeah.
disagree only because you can have like Wolverine and Logan be rated R, and then you can have Wolverine and other properties not be rated R. In Black Adam's movies, it could be a rated R. I kill a bunch of people. This is a very dark tone. And then if you have Black Adam show up in Shazam's movies, okay, you're gonna bring part of that tone in Black Adam's character, but the tone of the film will be Shazam's tone.
It would be like Dr. Savannah kind of all over again. I guess I don't know. It would be. It's going to be a heavy lift to get Shazam and Black
I don't
Adam
think so.
together.
I
I
yeah, I
think
don't think it's that. I don't think it's
like
that
in a
difficult.
film,
I just
but
think
we'll
that
see.
yeah. I mean, it's gonna happen.
It has to.
You know?
I mean, it has to,
Yeah.
right? I mean, they have to clash at some point. But like, it's
Mhm.
also The Rock being so hell bent on wanting to fight Superman to prove something, I guess, to prove that his hero is one of the coolest ones.
Well, everybody wants
know.
to see that happen anyway, though.
Yeah, that's true. But like, at the same time, it's like a heavyweight boxer. It's like you got to work your way up the ranks first, son. Like, so you gotta beat the other players to get to the champion, to get to Superman.
Not
Yeah,
necessarily when it's The
Did you
Rock and
feel?
What?
Did you feel the shift of power in the DC universe?
Yeah,
Did you feel it?
yeah,
I mean, really?
yeah. The
No,
Rock.
so I would say this is more to me. This is more of a super fight that breaks all the rules. Like you don't have to climb no ladder.
Like Rocky
This
2.
is it's sort
Rocky
of.
1,
I
I
mean,
guess,
like I
not
look
Rocky
at this
2.
as like Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather. It's like there's no ladder. There was
God.
no reason for it to happen, but everybody wants to see it. Come on, you're gonna tell me that you wouldn't want to see Superman and Black Adam go at each
I
other,
guess it is a pay.
You know what I'm
whether it
afraid
makes
of?
sense or not?
You know what I'm afraid of? That it actually goes the way of Mayweather and McGregor.
Yeah.
No,
where
that would.
where
I don't think that would happen.
you're highly anticipating it, and then you get that fight.
I
You
don't
just
think
get-
that Henry
you know what
Cavill
I'm
would have
saying?
came back. I don't think that Henry Cavill would have came back if he wasn't like already on board with everything that he wants. I think Henry Cavill probably is coming back only because he already had all the discussions of like, all right, this is what I need to come back. I need this kind of script. I need these kind of people around. I need there be
You think
basically
so?
no BS.
I agree with that.
Absolutely. I don't think that he
But
because
he's
why
never
not?
really
Why
quit.
wait so long to huh?
He's never really quit. If you look at all his posts, he's always talking about how he's got the cape on standby.
Right,
You know,
right. He's
I
got the
think
cape on standby, but
I
he's not
think
going to put
it's-
her like. I think he's made it obvious that he's not going to put her on just to put it on.
I agree with
But
that. Look at what
but
he
I-
did with The Witcher. He's like, you know what? This is not the show that I wanted to be a part of, so I'm out. I
Yeah,
feel like that's
exactly.
his thing. He's a big nerd.
Yeah, he's in.
If you're insulting his nerd properties, like he ain't going to continue. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree that probably like whatever
I don't know.
deals they
There was
like
already
sign,
discussions. I mean, I
you
wouldn't
know,
even be surprised.
like Man of
if
Steel 2, like
if-
all of that's in there.
I wouldn't even be surprised if the reason James Gunn got the job was because Henry Cavill's like, all right, I need to get like final say on who becomes DC head. I
Right,
would
like
not
him
be
and The
surprised
Rock
if that happened.
Are the two people who make
Yeah.
that final decision. It's
You know, it's like they're like, all right, you want me to put on the cape? Then I need this person there because they had a few other. Think about it, they had a few people that they suggested, and it didn't seem like these people didn't want the job. They just somehow didn't get the job, even though it's been rumored that like these are the people that they're looking at.
I think it's more of the fact that DC didn't know what the heck it was doing with Superman. Because if you remember, you know, and I don't know if you remember this far back, everything that happened, they were considering of just shelving Superman, period, and making
Right.
Supergirl the main Kryptonian, you know. So I mean, you know, I don't think it's a matter of Cavill saying, you know what, this is what I need in my Superman. I think it's really DC and the fact that they don't know what the hell they're doing with this franchise. That was more the reason why, the whole Superman character has been up in the air for this. I've always thought deep in my heart that Cavill was ready to come back no matter what.
But like he
So-
was asked
so
to come
again,
back,
I don't think
and
so.
and they offered him money to
Yeah.
be in other cameos,
Yeah.
and he said no.
Yeah, he said no.
Like, doesn't that signal to you that he's like, you know what, like I'm not gonna waste my
Yeah.
time. Like he's a superstar in his
Even-
own right
even-
now.
even-
He doesn't have to be Superman anymore. He's
Yeah.
The Witcher. He's famous for his action
Yeah.
films, like Mission Impossible. Like he's got his own things. He doesn't got to be Superman anymore.
And-
He kind of wants to be, but again, he's rejected the opportunity to be a cameo in other films. And they just had what was the movie where they just showed above the
Shazam.
It was
yeah,
Shazam,
right. He was like, no, I don't want to be in it. Like, and
Yeah.
didn't they say they offered him like $20 million for like one friggin' quick scene? Like, you can tell Henry
was that the
Cavill.
case?
It was
Yeah,
Shazam.
that's, they said that they offered him money. I don't know if it was
Yeah.
that much, but they offered him
also-
money. They offered him
he was-
a cameo. He said no. So he's
He was
definitely somebody
really,
who's
really
being
reluctant
selective
to
with
do-
this. Yeah,
But again,
Yeah,
it
there
could
was-
be
and
also
he-
with the fact that they don't know what to do with the character.
but
what I'm
again,
saying?
like, why wouldn't you take the money if you're him?
Yeah.
If they,
Yeah,
what does it
I
matter what they
guess.
want to do with the character if
Yeah,
like they're
so-
going to offer you money?
So
Right.
that's what I'm saying.
That's
What I'm
integrity.
saying. Like, yeah, he's being selective because DC doesn't know what they want
agree.
to do with the character.
I agree. I think Henry
So
Cavill.
that's why
Yeah.
and it's also just a hypothesis.
Yeah.
But that's why I hypothesize that he only came back because now he has a plan. They have a plan for what they're gonna do, and he probably had a say in that plan. Because even when it came down to like Justice League and the Snyder Cut, like reshoots and stuff, he still wanted no part of it. He was like, he's not hanging up the cape, but he doesn't want to be involved with these people.
And like, if
know?
you're Henry Cavill, think about how
So-
stupid it is when like for example, the perfect example is the Justice League reshoots. Like, you want to be on standby, no matter how much money DC pays you. Do you have to like deal with like either shaving your mustache, changing your appearance, getting Super Jack to play Superman again? Because he still stays Jack, but like, he's not always going to be Superman Jack. Like Wolverine, like Hugh Jackman is not always Logan Jack, because like that's not
Mhm.
really sustainable. You can't walk around at like 6% body fat. Like,
I mean,
and live that way.
Like,
you know,
Cavill, Cavill fans of the female nature beg to differ.
no, I understand, but like for
Like,
him
he
as a
walks around like
person,
that all the time.
remember how he
You know what I
looked in
mean?
Immortals? He was like super skinny back then.
yeah, like think about what a pain in the ass that is if you're Cavill to be like, oh, I got to shave my mustache for this role. Oh, I can't take this role just because DC wants you to be in a stupid cameo for a couple of minutes. But when they say to you, okay, like we're making a sequel for sure, we're involving you heavily in the cinematic universe going forward and all that other stuff. Yeah, that's when you're Henry Cavill and you say like, you know what, I'm down. Let's go. I'm down for the cameos because now I know that these cameos are going to lead somewhere and not just take up my time for no reason.
All they have
Not-
to do is just make him like Skinny Rock.
God, that was so weird.
Yeah,
It makes Rock's head look
Just
so
use
big.
CGI, right? He's hey, listen, he's got experience in that with the whole
You know what,
mustache
though?
thing. So
That was so terrible. No, you know what? Because you mentioned Wolverine, now that I think about it, he's DC's Hugh Jackman. He's like, I'm done with Wolverine, but I'll come back if it's the right circumstances.
exactly. Right. Like because you don't want to wreck this character, and like people
Yeah.
are favorable towards Henry Cavill as Superman. So why ruin that with a
He
bunch
is
of terrible cameos and never getting the film that you want it to be in the sequel that people really want, right? Because Man of Steel was generally pretty well received. It wasn't perfect. Whatever. Like,
I love
Yeah,
Man of
Great.
Steel.
Yeah,
by the way.
love
we like Man of Steel.
Especially in retrospect, I love it even more.
Yeah, so do I. I thought that
Um,
was a fantastic film that never got the respect that it deserved.
Yeah.
I know we're closing up, right? I know we're headed toward that end thing, but I want to ask one quick question
Mhm.
because it's pertinent to what we're talking about. Do you trust James Gunn with DC?
I do not. I do not.
Right? I don't.
I do not.
I
I
got
feel
that
like,
exact same sense also. Like, if he's gonna be the Kevin Feige, and we've already gone through a number of Kevin Feiges for DC. if he's now the what is he? This is like
To
Neo, right? This is the
yeah.
10th version of him, of Kevin Feige in the DC universe.
There's been a
To
few.
be fair,
I'm not too sure if he's the guy.
yeah. To be fair, Jose, you had made this point before in the chats.
Mhm,
It's not just him. It does seem like he has his own checks and balance, and
mhm,
this isn't the Kevin Feige under Warner Brothers. This is Kevin Feige on Discovery. I would say Discovery probably has a lot better, a lot healthier organization because Warner Brothers has been like being shuffled
mhm.
between AOL and Time Warner and all these other companies that all seem to have organizational issues. So I would assume that like Discovery is going in there, and as they have, just kind of like, hey, we're gonna clean house. We're gonna like,
They're
you know,
canceling everything.
they're canceling everything because they're like, hey, like we need a kind of fresh start, and this is gonna suck for a lot of things that we're canceling, but they're basically like, we need to kind of trim things down, get hyper focused, and do things the right way, you know. Um, so, but that being said, James Gunn would not have been my first choice.
Who would be your first choice? Is there somebody else that you thought would be a really good fit? Because I've always thought James Gunn would inevitably end up like for like a year and a half. I was like, he's going to end up being the DC head. Like
The
I'm pretty sure that's
person
in a chat somewhere. But like I
Yeah,
saw
I
this
mean,
coming.
yeah, I mean, and I understand that, but see, the thing is that like I see what you see in the sense that like, okay, like as far as successful, heads or people leading certain properties, James Gunn has been the only person that's been successful.
Mhm.
Zack Snyder has been successful, but in it with a lot of friction against DC, so he was never going to be it. But James Gunn is the only other director, writer director that has had so much success with DC. So it makes sense from that standpoint. But just having success with a property doesn't automatically mean that you can manage an entire thing. Me personally, I would have gone with someone that is someone like a Joe Quesada or Brian Michael Bendis from the
Mhm.
comic book world, who
It's funny
are
though you mentioned that because they did try that twice with Jeff Johns and Jim Lee.
right.
You
So
know,
Jeff John and Jim Lee are great writers and developers of comic books,
hmm
but they were never like, as far as I know, they were never editors in chiefs. So what Kevin Feige is, he's basically a Marvel Comics editor in chief,
Mhm.
someone that is the one that's supposed to say like, all right, I'm going to prove all these stories that need to be interconnected with all these other comic books in my comic universe. So that's why I would have gone with someone that's like an editor in chief of a comic book organization, in a sense, because that's essentially what you're doing. You're taking the editor in chief of a comic book universe on paper and then transplanting them to the films.
you know
The
what
exact same
makes
thing.
Kevin Feige different though. Um, he's done that stuff, but he also had a career in film. And I think
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the main difference that we're seeing in terms of all these guys that DC is bringing in, is because you know what, guys like, and I had hopes that Jeff Johns and Jim Lee would have done it because again, like you said, they're integral to these stories and stuff. And I guess Brian Michael Bendis probably may be the closest because I think he does have, some say in some of his stories film wise and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
Brian Michael
none of
Bendis
these
is
guys,
usually a consultant and producer because Brian
right?
Michael Bendis is famous for being really good at intertwining storylines and working
Exactly.
with a vast array of different properties. Jim
But
Lee has been Superman and Batman and Green Lantern and stuff, but Jim Lee has been like just a great artist. Jeff Johns has just been a great writer. I don't
mhm.
necessarily think, and I think that they were just like, all right, let's get like one of our best writers, one of our best artists to give us the stories and the look and feel that we want from the comics, but I don't think that that translates well to creating or managing,
Exactly,
rather
exactly.
managing a universe.
But
I
I
would have
think
liked to have
managing a
seen.
universe in film is also very, very different.
Yeah, I
And
do.
so, you know,
That's why I would have. I don't think that there is a Kevin Feige out there. I think Kevin
no.
Feige is like a one in a million.
hmm I agree with that.
Because even with Star Wars, it's Filoni and what's his name? Not enough coffee this morning.
Yeah. Oh
But it's still
gosh.
two, and they're still not, and they're still not perfect.
But they also have a story group though.
Yeah, of course.
They
Yeah,
also have a story group of people who have either worked under George Lucas or have been intimately
right.
involved in the property. So
But that's
again,
what. Yeah,
it's more of a thing by committee, which is something I think DC needs to do instead of trying
yeah.
to find the one guy. Bring all these talents from all these different distinct places and put them all in one room and say, okay, guys, this is the story. How do we translate this onto film or onto the
I think
small
that's being a
screen?
little presumptuous,
Like
though.
that.
Like, why are you assuming that James Gunn is not going to build a team similar to Kevin Feige to help him tell the story? Like, why are we assuming that it's going to be James Gunn and like the other guy, and it's not going to be a similar structure where he's going to have checks and balances? We're making a lot of assumptions here.
No, and you're right, but I think it's also because we've never seen that from him before. This is nascent to him. This is brand new to him.
That's not true.
And
he's produced a lot of films that, like, he's produced Brightburn, he's produced Scooby Doo, he's produced a lot of films that you don't think that James Gunn would be responsible for. Like,
but
I mean,
he's not managing a universe. That's the thing. These are all separate properties. Brightburn has nothing to do with Scooby Doo, obviously, right? Neither does Slither or any of the films that he's done before.
No,
but he's worked in film like that.
But so is James Gunn. Like that's kind of making a similar point,
But Kevin Feige, to Gabe's point, was an editor in chief, right? He's done that kind of stuff, managing
that's
entire universes. Maybe not in the film sense, but in the comic book sense. James Gunn hasn't done that. That's the difference.
And I do think that even with Scooby Doo, there's still there's that James Gunn touch that you can feel, that you feel in every single one of his films. And that's my biggest issue, is that I wouldn't put Taika Waititi in charge of MCU.
Right.
Because I would just feel like, all right, there's going to be too much of Taika in every single film. Yeah. And I think that's James Gunn, to me, is Taika Waititi.
Well, he
has James Gunn in all of his movies. And to Gabe's point, James Gunn in all of his movies, it's the same tone. I mean, you talk about Scooby-Doo, which is a family film. You talk about Guardians of the Galaxy, which is a superhero film. You talk about Slither, which is a horror film, but you still have that same tone throughout all those films, irregardless of what genre they're in, So listen, there's a chance that DC hits a home run with James Gunn, right?
Yeah,
I just personally, for right now, feel uncomfortable with that fact. And he might turn out to be a great person to lead the DCU, right? It's just, as of right now, I can't see it. That's just my personal opinion.
That was going to be my same thing too, is that I personally don't, I guess the word trust is not the word, but I'm not confident. Oh, that was the question. Do I have confidence, right? I'm not confident in James Gunn, but it's like I gotta wait and see, because obviously these are all just assumptions, but it can also be sort of intelligent guessing. My thing, the way that I look at it is, do I think that James Gunn can both give me Moon Knight and She-Hulk? To very distinctly good shows, but with completely different tones, design, and everything top to bottom. I'm not 100% sure that he can give me both of those.
I think the other thing,
as of yet,
irregardless, that's not a word. I gotta remember that. Regardless of James Gunn's role, I don't know why I said that. Regardless of James Gunn's role, I want to find out more about what's the other guy's name? Peter Safran. Excuse me.
Peter Safran.
Yeah, I don't know anything about him.
If we learn more about him, we're going to understand better what the checks and balances will be on James Gunn's style of storytelling.
And I think that is important, because Safran is more of a film guy. So, I think that kind of gives, but again, I and that's what I think. I don't know too much about Peter Safran, but it's just, let's see how they do this, because James Gunn is really good with taking, these weird characters and making them relevant. He doesn't need to do that with Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman.
I mean, those guys are there,
all right.
So Just
you're checking out
he seems
Safran?
to,
Are you
yeah, he
stalking
seems to be
him?
like seems to
Hmm.
be the producer, involved as a producer in a lot of stuff.
A lot of horror movies
Um,
similar to similar
Is
to
he
his
a
James
entire
Gunn.
Kathleen Kennedy
filmography is
type?
basically,
Well, he also
well, all
was
right.
producer for he's actually, wait a minute, he's producing the new Shazam movie or the old one as well? Because yeah, no, he
The
was
new
a
one,
producer
the
on
new
the.
one.
It says he's attached to Aquaman, the Suicide Squad, so he's been like involved in some production with
Yeah,
some of these DCU movies recently. What I do notice also, and this might be an issue, is that some of the films that he also is involved in were also James Gunn films, like the Belko Experiment and things like that. So it looks like they have a
I actually like
history
the
together.
Belko Experiment.
Right.
The Belko
But like,
Experiment was a great
how
film,
did
but
you like
again, it was
if we're thinking
it
about
was a
checks and
James Gunn
balances,
film.
though, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
all
that
right?
doesn't speak well to them.
How did you feel about Meet the Spartans?
I don't know if I saw that movie. To be honest with you.
Oh God, so he did that seriously?
He also did Scary Movie.
I mean, he's also done
That's
Annabelle,
not.
The Conjuring, The Nun, so
Yeah,
some well-received horror
he
films.
also
Horror films.
But you also
was
have
in
to look at.
Aquaman, the first Aquaman, and Aquaman had a lot of problems.
It wasn't that bad.
And
though.
you look
It
at
was a
you also
better
look at the
DC
fact that
movie.
he's doing
Amber
The
Heard was
Conjuring and
absolutely
Annabelle
horrendous.
and all that stuff. James Wan, who's the guy that runs those films, he's very very anal about those characters. So he wouldn't have had much of an influence on those films because James Wan is just so protective of those characters. It doesn't make, so that's not really a good thing to look at. Again, I think the body of work in terms of, you know, Meet the Spartans and Aquaman,
I
it
gotta
feels
admit, I'm
like
looking at everything here. I don't see a great body of work. Like
It's
I
mostly
do
horror
like the
films.
Conjuring movies,
Yeah.
like the Conjuring and Annabelle. Like those movies are really. I see a lot of horror movies here.
Let's see.
and James Gunn comes from a horror element here. So are we gonna get like, you know, a horror comedy Superman? Are we gonna get? I mean, it works for Batman, I
James
guess,
Gunn's
because he's
P.G.
kind of.
Bourne? What the hell?
What?
I don't know.
I think we can say that we're unsure. We can settle on that.
Yeah,
I
that's
think we're
yeah. I'm like,
definitely unsure.
I am.
That's the
I
whole
have
point
even
of
more
it.
questions now. I have even more questions.
Slightly more
Oh.
confidence, but maybe not a whole
Yeah.
lot more.
Okay. His
Yo,
main
Gabe-
employer was Warner Brothers all these years.
Yeah. They're
That doesn't give me, that gives me less confidence. The issue has always been Warner Brothers.
yes,
know.
but you can say that the issue at Warner Brothers was more like how high level executive leadership was dictating how these slightly lower level producers were going to make these movies, what movies they were going to make. He wasn't necessarily the problem. It seems like that's like what seems to be sort of generally
It's
accepted.
the DC head.
The CEOs of the company were the biggest problems standing in the way of creating a coherent
You know what I want to
DC
look at?
universe.
Suicide Squad is a perfect example, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Suicide Squad is a perfect example. You
Yes.
know, that was a film that was created, and you know, I forget the director's name, but he had a very specific vision, and because of testing and all this
David
stuff,
Ayer?
they decided
David Ayer, right?
David
Is the
Ayer,
director?
yeah.
Yes. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yes, yeah, and so, you know, because of testing and all this stuff, the powers that be decided, hey, you know what, this company made a great trailer, let's let them edit the film.
Mm-hmm. Those were the super high level decisions, probably, that Peter Safran
I
was
agree
not
with
involved
that.
in, because he was not a producer on the first Suicide Squad film. He was a producer on the Suicide Squad, the good one that we all saw recently. But my hands are up in the air. Like, we're all just kind of making predictions here. So let's see what happens. Hope for the best, and hope that the Black Adam leads to bigger and better places for the DC universe. Y'all don't seem to be holding your breath for that, but
no,
we'll see.
But we'll see.
I kind of want to look up Kevin Feige's
Wolfie's face right now just says it all, man.
I forgot that I'm on camera. I'm just reading his IMDb and everything.
It's flustered.
Oh my
You're
God.
flustered. All right.
I don't know, man. Have you seen this? Have you just real quick? Have you seen the Meet the Spartans?
No.
No,
Because that
I
movie
haven't.
was horrendous.
No.
I
That
can
movie was
imagine.
terrible. Like Scary Movie, the first one was great because it's like just the first Scary Movie, and then the other Scary movies were like okay. Meet the Spartans was trying to do, obviously it was just all right. Well, let's do scary movies, but in something else, and it was terrible. Oh my god,
It's okay. I'll
I'm
pass
scared.
on that
I'm
one.
like officially scared right now.
Kevin Feige was an
Yeah.
executive producer on X-Men 3. I'm just saying. I don't know. There's a couple of movies here that aren't that great either. Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer. We probably shouldn't get into this now. I'm just saying, like,
You know what?
he made some bad
Though,
movies too.
I will say this: the Fantastic Four movies aren't as bad as people claim it to be.
The
It's
second
not
one was pretty
great.
bad, though. The Galactus as a cloud one was pretty bad.
Yeah,
but I mean,
they made.
I think
but
for the
take that
time
away.
though, because even
Yeah,
X-Men 3, I don't think was that bad. I think it was bad. There was a lot of bad elements, but I don't think it was that bad for the time.
Yeah,
you know, like obviously it
exactly.
didn't age well, but even the first X-Men, I don't think ages well.
Okay, what about the Punisher? Not
X2
Punisher
was the
Warzone, but the Punisher with what's his name? Oh goodness,
You know, actually, I with Thomas Jane, I actually
Daredevil.
liked that film, but I also thought that it was terrible.
I didn't like that
that
film.
movie.
at all.
That movie was so bad it was good. Isn't that the one where like his
I-
family like gets killed in like Puerto Rico or something like that? Like I don't know
Yeah,
why
yeah,
that
they're
scene made
Puerto
me
Rico, yeah.
laugh my
No,
ass
no,
off
no.
for some reason.
The worst part, and this, and you know, I know we're wrapping up, but I have to say the worst part of that film, which was so anti-Punisher, was the fact that Thomas Jane was walking around with a cover for a fire hydrant just so that the Thomas John Travolta's
No, that's not
character could kill
anti-Punisher.
his wife.
That's not anti-Punisher.
Yeah,
Punisher
that
does
kinda,
crazy. He does. The thing is that no, the way that in the comics, I
Bro.
grew up off and on like reading Punisher because I thought he was so cool after I saw him on Spider-Man, the animated show.
Bro.
Mhm.
That I would buy them, and yeah, he would do. So Punisher became like this ultra violent kind of sad psychopath.
That's
in
the Punisher
Max.
that I know.
But before Punisher Max,
Bro.
Punisher was just this psychotic way of like in ways torturing people in these kind of weird ways. Like he would straight up,
He
be
tortured
like
a dude
this
with a
like
popsicle, bro. What? Like
Nah,
he
I know. So
tortured a
that
dude
like
with a
that, yeah.
popsicle.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm talking about the
That-
fire hydrant. I'm talking about the fire hydrant.
okay.
That,
But
that
the
whole
fire
thing,
hydrant-
Punisher would do
so-
things. He would do things to like
But
kind
that
of
was
create these
early
scenarios
Punisher,
and, like,
no?
yeah.
That's
Yeah,
early
earlier
Punisher.
Punisher. This was
That's
this was all
that's
based.
not-
This was all based on. Yeah, this
Oh,
was
then-
all
then-
based on pre-Punisher Max, but it's a
then,
combination of old Punisher and basically Spider-Man the animated show Punisher and them needing it to be PG-13 because at that time there's no way they would have ever made a Punisher movie.
I did not.
It was
like that Punisher
terrible
at
in
all.
a lot of those ways, but I
actually
did
like
like some of the
Warzone
stuff.
way better.
Oh yeah, Warzone's
Actually-
amazing.
He did produce that
Listen,
one.
I tell people
especially-
that's the only Punisher, but that's also
Yeah,
not the
it's true.
first Punisher.
No, it's not.
No, the first
What's the
Punisher was
first
Dolph
Dolph
Lundgren.
Lundgren.
Yeah, that was even worse.
Without
No, it was.
without the skull. Without the skull. He never
without
had the skull in
He
that
just
film.
had like he had like
You
the
know what I'm
skulls with the
He
knives.
was Wolverine in that movie, basically fighting Japanese ninjas, right? Wasn't that the freaking Dolph Lundgren
I don't
movie?
remember.
He fought ninjas in Japan or something like
I
that.
don't know.
Whatever, it don't
I
matter.
don't
That-
remember.
that's-
I saw
that's-
that movie
that's in the
such a long
era-
time ago.
That's in the era where David Hasselhoff was also Nick Fury.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
So what I'm saying is that like things don't age well for the time. We got to thank Marvel for actually trying to bring some of this stuff to screen.
Warzone
So
is
I'm
still
not
amazing.
that
though.
mad. Yeah, I'm not that mad at X-Men 3, although I really think
What about Electro?
whoever the hairstylist was, God, that had to be like the worst Wolverine hairstyle. I don't know how they put that on film. I don't know who saw that and was like, yeah, let's go with this.
What about his
I don't
work
know.
as a production assistant on You Got Mail? How does that reflect on what he's going to do with the MCU in
Got
the future?
Mail?
Anyway, I'm going to shut up. This is ridiculous. No, we have a lot to
Anyway,
talk
alright,
about when
we'll
it comes
call
to
it there,
Kevin
yeah.
Feige versus James Gunn, and I think we're going to get to that at some point. So
Yeah.
I guess we should wind this down.
I trust I trust Kevin Feige robot more than I do James Gunn right now. So
Kevin.
Anyway.
I trust
Yes.
Kevin.
Kevin. All right, y'all.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
So
I think we're done.
guess that's it for us. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
it.
It was a cool chat, cool little, Geeks of the Round table talk. And once again, thank you guys for listening, getting all the way to the end of this podcast. Please, once again, like, rate, share, and subscribe. And I guess that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jose.
Stay geeky, my friends. Peace, y'all.
Peace.
Peace.